Hello my dear students, today this video is going to be on 26 interesting facts about our Indian Constitution. So, I would like you all to watch this video completely so that you can extract important points out of it. And proceeding towards the video, the first image which you can see on the screen is of our Honorable Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And the first interesting fact is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is called as a father of Indian Constitution. The second interesting fact about Indian Constitution says the Constitution was originally written in Hindi and English. So the original copy of Indian Constitution were written in Hindi and English, where each member of Constituent Assembly that drafted the Constitution signed two copies of the Constitution, one in Hindi and other in English. The English version has 1,17,369 words, and that is why it is called as one of the lengthiest constitution in the world. That is, the fourth interesting fact says it is the longest constitution in the world with so much of writing, and the Indian Constitution is the longest of any sovereign country in the world. The fifth fact says the Constitution wasn't typed or printed. This is really interesting to know. So both the versions of Constitution, Hindi and English, were handwritten, and it is the longest handwritten constitution of any country on the earth. The sixth interesting fact says it was handwritten by Prem Behari Narain Raizada. The original Constitution of India was handwritten by Prem Behari Narain Raizada in flowing italic style with beautiful calligraphy. The Constitution was published in Dehradun and photolithographed by the Survey of India. The seventh interesting fact says each page was decorated by artists from Shantiniketan. The original Constitution is handwritten with each page uniquely decorated by artists from Shantiniketan, including Beohar, Rammanohar Sinha, and Nandalal, Bose. The eighth interesting fact says the original copies are stored in special cases. The original copies of Indian Constitution written in Hindi and English are kept in special lithium cases in the Library of Parliament of India. My dear students, I have got images of all this 26 interesting fact that is about a real picture of our Indian Constitution and the photos of a person who has handwritten a constitution and various other pictures which I'll be sharing in the next video. So do watch it. And proceeding ahead, the ninth interesting fact says the Constitution declares India a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. The preamble to the Constitution declares India to be sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and a welfare state committed to secure justice, liberty and equality for the people and for promoting fraternity, dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. The 10th interesting fact says it assures its citizens justice, equality, and liberty and endeavors to promote fraternity. The fundamentals of Indian Constitution are contained in Preamble, which guarantees its citizens social, economic, and political justice, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individuals. The 11th interesting fact says 9th December 1946, the Constituent Assembly met for the first time. The Constituent Assembly was the first parliament of independent India. Dr. Sachchidananda Sinha was the first president, temporary chairman of Assembly of the Constituent Assembly when it met on 9 December 1946. It took nearly 3 years to write it down. The Constituent Assembly, which first met on 9 December 1946, took precisely 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to come up with the final draft. This was really interesting. Then, the 13th interesting fact says 2000 amendments were made to the first draft. When the draft was prepared and put up for debate and discussion, Over 2000 amendments were made before it was finalized. 14 fact says 26 November 1949, the final draft was ready. The Constituent Assembly sat for a total of 11 sessions. The 11th session was held between 14 to 26 November 1949. On 26 November 1949, the final draft of the Constitution was ready. The 15th fact says 24th January 1950, signing of the Constitution. That is on January 24th, 1950, 284 members of Constituent Assembly signed the Indian Constitution at the Constitution Hall, now known as the Central Hall of Parliament in New Delhi. The 16th fact says 26 January 1950, the Constitution was legally enforced. Passed by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949, it came into effect on 26 January 1950. The date 26 January was chosen to commemorate the declaration of Purna Swaraj, complete independence of 1930. Now the 17th fact says 26 January 1950, the national emblem of India was adopted. The national emblem of India was adopted on 26 January 1950, the day India was declared a republic with its constitution coming into effect. A representation of Lion Capital of Ashoka was initially adopted as the emblem of the Dominion of India in December 1947. The current version of the emblem was officially adopted on 26 January 1950, the day India became a republic. The 18th fact says Constitution of India, a bag of borrowing. The Indian Constitution is often called a bag of borrowings. It is called so because it has borrowed provisions from the constitution of various countries. However, it is much more than a mere copy of other countries. So now let us see which are the countries from which India has borrowed the provisions. The first one is the British Parliament. Based on series of statutes enacted by the British Parliament prior to the Constituent Assembly that convened in 1948 to draft the Indian Constitution adopted in 1950 and still in force to date. The fundamental law of India was mostly embodied on the series of statutes enacted by the British Parliament. Now, what is the meaning of statute? Statutes are the written law which is being passed by the legislative body. The next 20th interesting fact says borrowings from the French Constitution. The ideals of liberty, equality, fraternity come from the French Constitution. These words appear in the preamble to the Constitution of India. Many other nations have also adopted the French slogan of liberty, equality, and fraternity as an ideal. 21. Borrowing from US, the concept of 5-year plan in the Indian Constitution was borrowed from the Constitution of Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. The 22nd fact says borrowing from Japan. The law governing Supreme Court and the concept of procedure established by law were adopted from the Constitution of Japan. The 23rd fact says borrowing from Weimar Constitution of Germany. India borrowed the concept of suspension of fundamental rights during emergency rule, which was being taken during the Weimar Constitution of Germany. The 24th fact says borrowing from the US Constitution. The preamble of Indian Constitution was inspired by the US Constitution's preamble. Both the preambles begin with "We the people." The 25th fact says basic structure of Constitution stands on the Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act 1935 was originally passed in August 1935 and is said to be the longest act of parliament which was ever enacted by that time. The 1935 Act was the second installment of constitutional reforms passed by the British Parliament for implementing the ideal of responsible government in India. The 26th fact says amended only 94 times in over 60 years. Amended only 94 times in the first 62 years, the Constitution of India has stood the test of time. As of January 2019, there have been 103 amendments to the Constitution of India since it was first enacted in 1950. So these are the 26 amazing facts, and that was really interesting. And see you all in the next video, and I hope you all have captured enough of points from this video. Till then, have a nice day. Thank you.